Culturally responsive education. Why is it important, and what does it mean for you? If we do not stop oppression when it is a seed, it will be very hard to stop it when it is a tree. Alik Shahada. Never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world. In fact, it is the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. In order to get beyond racism, we must first take account of race. There is no other way. And in order to treat some persons equally, we must treat them differently. Harry A. Blackman. The purpose of this session is to seek understanding, not to blame, to examine the present, not the past, to experience growth, not to be defensive, and to be open to many perspectives. I'd like to pause here for a group activity. Using a set of cards provided by the facilitator, you and a partner will match the terms and definitions related to this topic. Teaching strategies in classroom environments that help students from diverse groups attain the knowledge, skills, and attitudes needed to function effectively within a just, humane, and democratic society. Any form of teaching that incorporates the histories, texts, values, beliefs, and perspectives of people from different cultural backgrounds. Using the cultural knowledge, prior experiences, and performance styles of diverse students to make learning more appropriate and effective for them. It teaches to and through the strengths of these students. The unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people or things, especially on the grounds of race, age, or sex. Prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. Preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. The observed persistent disparity of educational measures between performance of groups of students, especially defined by socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, and gender. Societal privileges that benefit white people beyond what is commonly experienced by non-white people under the same circumstances. Why do we need to talk about culturally responsive education? Well, here in Connecticut, we have the largest income achievement gap in the country. In 2007, we spent more on prisons than public higher education. We have the 6th highest percentage of Hispanic students in special education in 2003. Over the past 10 years, Connecticut has ranked in the top 10 for most segregated state. And we have the 2nd highest incarceration rate for Hispanic males and the 3rd highest for African American males. Let's take a look at ourselves. Look through your handouts for the page titled, "So You Think You're an Anti-Racist." Pause the video here. After looking at ourselves, let's examine how race can affect education. Differences that we assign to people of various racial and ethnic identities have no biological basis. Rather, the differences are the product of socially constructed beliefs. When these beliefs cause disadvantages, we can change them through social action. However, most of us are not very aware of our own dispositions towards people of races or ethnicities different from our own. We must learn how to question our own beliefs in order to grow. With all of these issues going on in school today, it's easy to see why culturally responsive education is so important. Let's talk about the required teacher characteristics for culturally responsive pedagogy. Teachers must be empathetic and caring, reflective about their own beliefs about people from other cultures, reflective about their own cultural frames of reference, and knowledgeable about other cultures. According to Banks, there are important characteristics that need to be present in multicultural and culturally responsive education. These include content integration, knowledge construction, prejudice reduction, equitable pedagogy, and empowering school culture and social structure. Grant and Sleater have outlined 5 approaches for multicultural teaching plans. The first, teaching the exceptional and culturally different, involves building bridges to the traditional curriculum. The second, human relations, focuses on developing positive relationships between different cultures with the objective being developing empathy, understanding, and tolerance. The third, single group studies, involves unit studies on discrete cultural groups, for example, February being Black History Month. The fourth, multicultural education, involves each subject infusing ethnic content and perspectives. It helps all children achieve success, promotes an awareness of social issues such as unequal power distribution and privilege, and the curriculum content reflects multiple perspectives. The last approach is education that is both multicultural and social reconstructionist. A common teaching objective here is the development of a social conscience and a sense of civic responsibility, and includes ways to address teaching about inequities in society. Let's examine an actual lesson plan being transformed into one of these approaches. In the traditional lesson, students would be studying a map, reading a text, discussing questions as a large group, watching a film, and making a mural of wagons heading west. In the transformed lesson, students work in small groups to solve similar problems that the pioneers faced. They will examine stereotypes and negative attitudes associated with gender roles and American Indians. Each group member will fill a certain role in the group, such as wagon master or trail guide. The group will have to organize their trip by deciding how to spend their money, what supplies are needed, the final destination, and who will fill each role. Each day, the teacher will give a new scenario in which students will need to problem solve. For example, a rainy day with a wagon stuck in the mud, and then an axle breaks on a wheel and someone breaks a leg. Some of the other possible scenarios include a raging river to cross, the approach of Plains Indians, and discussing understanding their different viewpoint and how to relate to them, and lastly, a steep mountain grade to climb with rock slides and light snow. The last activity involves when students arrive at the settlement. They will need to plan for how to organize in a way that promotes cooperation, good relations with the American Indians, and minimal gender role assignment. So what else can schools do to be culturally responsive? It isn't just about heroes and holidays. It's about connecting the classroom to the realities of what students know and live. You can get out into the community and visit neighborhood homes, churches, and stores. The most important factor in teacher-student relationships is caring, which helps lead to more success for students. You can also work on more effective communication, including having translators and understanding diverse cultural communication styles. Be sure to have high expectations for all students and maintain positive relationships with students, parents, and the community. We also have many resources right here in our local school community. Please look in the resource packet for more information about these local resources. Thank you for your time. I'd like to end the session with a quote that sums up the importance of culturally responsive education. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Frederick Douglass.